In a busy offseason for wide receivers, Justin Jefferson's $140 million contract tops the market, and rightfully so. The man is an absolute machine, surpassing 1,000 yards in every season so far and winning the Offensive Player of the Year award at the age of just 23. He looks set to become the Vikings' greatest wide receiver ever and a top 5 player of all time at the position, which means his selection at 22 in the 2020 NFL Draft was an absolute steal. But who were the 21 players picked before him, and how did their careers go? There won't be many arguments about the first overall pick in 2020. Joe Burrow has been as good as advertised, performing like a top 5 quarterback when healthy. The only problem for him is that 2 of his first 4 seasons in the league have been cut in half because of injuries. The other 2 have been division wins, including a Super Bowl appearance and a narrow AFC Championship loss. Burrow is one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL and could be on track for a Hall of Fame career. Now at number 2, we have Chaisson with the prototypical defensive end coming in as a popular pick for the best defensive player in the draft. As it turns out though, his career hasn't gone that way and honestly is just a middle of the pack and at best just an okay defensive end. He did quickly make an impact in the league, winning the Defensive Rookie of the Year award with 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and even 4 passes defended. Unfortunately, all the momentum was halted in his sophomore year when a brutal ACL tear caused him to miss much of the 2021 and 2022 season. Now fully healthy, Young showed glimpses of his old self in 2023 for Washington and San Francisco, but he will still need to prove that he is worth that next big contract. He's going to try to do that this year on a 1-year deal in New Orleans. Next up, we have our first big disappointment of this draft class in Jeff Okuda. Despite being a highly touted cornerback prospect, Okuda's output has left a lot to be desired. Injuries resulted in him playing in just 10 games in his first 2 seasons before only managing 1 interception in year 3. The Lions decided to cut their losses and trade him for a 5th rounder, with the Falcons hoping they could revive his career. Spoiler, they couldn't. In Atlanta, Okuda's struggles continued, resulting in a PFF coverage grade of just 46 and no interceptions. He's now signed with Houston for 2024, but time is running out for this former top 3 pick. With the 4th overall pick in the draft, the New York Giants selected Andrew Thomas, the first offensive lineman off the board. Despite having a lot of experience under his belt, Thomas was just 21 when he entered the league, and it showed. He gave up 10 sacks as a rookie, which was very concerning for the Giants when he first started, but thankfully, he's improved to give up just 2 sacks as a sophomore, and has since turned into a reliable, consistent starter, which is exactly what you want from your left tackle. He was rewarded with a 5-year, $117.5 million contract in 2023, meaning he will be around for a while in New York. Now this next one I decided to combine because we have back-to-back quarterbacks going with Tua and Justin Herbert being drafted back-to-back. And as a result of them being drafted back-to-back, almost their careers have slightly been connected or just at least compared to each other since they were drafted right back-to-back. Tua was picked first, passing for 1,814 yards and 11 touchdowns in 10 games as a rookie. He has seen gradual improvement over the next few years, ending up with a league-leading 4,624 yards in 2023, along with 29 touchdowns and a 69.3 completion rate, but his performances were greatly ramped up after the Dolphins traded for Tyreek Hill in 2022, and he has yet to earn his lucrative 2nd contract. But coming into this season, he's going to be hoping for a big one so that way he can ensure that he does get that 2nd contract and that he gets paid a hefty amount. On the other hand, Justin Herbert has already signed his monster 2nd contract, largely thanks to a record-setting start to his career in LA. Herbert's 4,336 yard, 31 touchdown season to get things started won him the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, which he then improved to 5,014 yards and 38 touchdowns in 2021. His 14,089 yards after just 3 seasons are the most by any quarterback in NFL history, which combines with a long list of other records. Unfortunately, the individual accolades haven't translated to team success. However, Jim Harbaugh has now taken over as head coach, and the future is surely much brighter for the Chargers. Now, after that duo of quarterbacks came another defensive behemoth in Derrick Brown. He became a Panther at pick 7, for whom he has developed into a rock-solid defensive lineman on the inside of that Panthers defensive line. It's always going to be a struggle to stand out on one of the worst teams in the league, but Brown has quietly been putting together top-notch performances, and in doing so have resulted in him getting a 4-year, $96 million contract in Carolina. He will be a pillar of the defense has on that team that is in the midst of a huge rebuild right now. Now, with the 8th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cardinals selected inside linebacker Isaiah Simmons, known for his versatile skill set and impressive athleticism. I mean, when this kid played, Simmons was absolutely all over the field for Arizona, lining up on the defensive line, in the slot, and even at linebacker at times. His immense athleticism has encouraged his defensive coordinators to move him around the lineup, but at the same time, this has also been his detriment. Simmons has struggled to show proper consistency, resulting in him getting traded to the Giants before the 2023 season. Here he logged 1 sack, 30 tackles, an interception, and 2 pass breakups. And if he wants to earn a second season in New York, he is currently going to be feeling a lot of pressure to do so. The Jags were up next, opting to take cornerback CJ Henderson 9th overall, largely thanks to his athleticism and playmaking ability in both press and man coverage. On paper, this dude had the full package, but once he stepped on the field, he completely fell apart from the description that was provided about him. He could only manage a 58.3 coverage grade as a rookie before registering sub 50 grades through the next 3 seasons. He's allowed a passer rating of over 100 in every season, falling well below what the Jaguars were expecting from a top 10 pick. They managed to get a 3rd rounder back for him by trading him to the Panthers, where Henderson's struggles continue. Since then, he has moved on to Houston, where he will attempt once again to revive his career. Rounding out the top 10, the Cleveland Browns selected offensive tackle Jedrick Willis. Willis had a tough job on his hands as he tried to fill the shoes of Hall of Fame tackle Joe Thomas. And I mean, so far, he slots firmly into the solid category, falling well short of Thomas's level, but not being too much of a liability for Cleveland. He has done enough to convince the team to pick up his 5th-year option, but he will need to prove he is worth more than that in 2024. Another offensive tackle arrived at pick 11, with Mekhi Becton becoming a New York Jet. The big man out of Louisville started well, but an injury as a sophomore took away most of his 2021 and all of 2022. He returned in 2023, but gave up 12 sacks, earning a very underwhelming 60.7 PFF grade. He will try and revive his career in Philadelphia in 2024 as they aim to return to the Super Bowl after a disastrous collapse to close out the 2023 season. Now, one of the most infamous names on this list that was drafted before Justin Jefferson goes by the name of Henry Ruggs, who was the pick at number 12, tempting the Las Vegas Raiders with his impressive speed and playmaking ability. He showed glimpses of potential as a rookie, converting 26 receptions on 452 yards and 2 touchdowns. He then pretty much matched that production in just 7 games as a sophomore before his career took a tragic turn. Halfway through the 2021 season, Ruggs was involved in a fatal DUI crash that resulted in the death of a woman and her dog. Ruggs pled guilty and received a sentencing of 3 to 10 years in prison, but his loss pales in comparison to that of the poor woman and her family. Now at pick 13, we have one of the most slept on picks in this draft that I believe was and has just been a standout product from this draft class in Tristan Wirfs, who became the 4th offensive lineman taken. Despite falling out of the top 10, he has outshone the linemen taken before him, thriving as a left tackle for Tom Brady in 2020 to help the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. He has given up just 10 sacks across his first 4 years in the NFL, earning himself 3 Pro Bowl selections, a first-team All-Pro, and a second-team All-Pro. All of this to go along with his Super Bowl ring as well. Currently right now, he is actually holding out of OTAs, hoping for a new contract, but I'm sure that will arrive pretty soon in the coming weeks before the season starts, and honestly, from this class of the first rounders, he will go down as one of the better picks from this draft class. Now at pick 14, we move over to the defensive side of the ball, with Javon Kinlaw becoming a San Francisco 49er. Kinlaw was drafted as a direct replacement for DeForest Buckner, who the Niners had to let go, but he has honestly really never quite lived up to that hype. 1.5 sacks and 33 tackles didn't provide much excitement for San Francisco, who then had to settle for just 10 appearances over the next 2 seasons because of injuries. Kinlaw improved to post 3.5 sacks in 2023, but it wasn't enough to convince them to keep him around. He has since then signed with the New York Jets, where he is reunited with his old defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh. He will be looking to prove that he is worthy of a long-term contract on this talented Jets roster. Now, the second wide receiver to come off of the board that was picked before Justin Jefferson was by the Denver Broncos and Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy got off to a promising start, recording 856 yards and 3 touchdowns, but could not continue the development in year 2 because of a high ankle sprain. His best season then would arrive in 2022, but just 972 yards and 6 touchdowns is still a bit under what you want from a top 15 draft pick. The underwhelming performances then continued in 2023 with 750 258 yards and 2 touchdowns. And due to the lack of 1,000-yard seasons throughout the first 4 years of his career, encouraged Denver to move on from Jeudy, accepting a 5th and a 6th-round pick in return. Now the question remains, now that he's on the Browns, is can he operate as a good number 2 wide receiver and get his first 1,000-yard season across from Amari Cooper? And as we move on to the 16th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons solidified their secondary with the selection of A.J. Terrell. The impressive cornerback out of Clemson was the 3rd defensive back taken, but by a long shot has been the most effective so far. He transitioned very well into the NFL, earning a starting role as a rookie before being named a second-team All-Pro as a sophomore. Throughout his 4-year career, Terrell has amassed 247 tackles, 43 passes defended, 4 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles. So far this dude has just been absolutely solid for Atlanta, and now is looking forward to picking up another contract with the Falcons and maybe even making a playoff run this year since Kirk Cousins has joined the team. And now for the 3rd time, Justin Jefferson would get overlooked and another wide receiver would go in front of him. This time with CeeDee Lamb coming off the board at number 17 for the Dallas Cowboys. And look, Lamb has truly been elite throughout his young career so far, collecting 5,145 yards and 32 touchdowns across his first 4 years. These have seen him selected to 3 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro teams. His best year so far has been his last, with his 135 receptions leading the league, translating to a career-high 1,749 yards and 12 touchdowns. The sky is the limit for this guy who has established himself as one of the best offensive weapons in the entire NFL. The only question that remains now is, after waiting to see Justin Jefferson's contract, are the Cowboys going to be able to afford him along with all the other hefty contracts that they have to pay in the coming years? Now, the Miami Dolphins were up at 18 and they opted to bolster their offensive line with the selection of Austin Jackson. Jackson started 12 games as a rookie before going on to play in every game his sophomore season. He was able to keep his sack numbers relatively low, but he was heavily penalized throughout the first 2 years of his career. An injury all but wiped out his 3rd season in the NFL, but now he is coming off the best year of his career in 2023. Luckily for him, he has done enough to earn an extension through 2026, which means he will remain a key player at the right tackle on a Miami team that is desperately searching for playoff success. Now, this next pick goes just right in line with all the other questionable picks that the Raiders made during this draft, with Damon Arnette being taken by them next at 18. His selection at 19th overall turned out to be an absolute disaster, with the first rounder having 2 stints on injured reserve as a rookie, before being released as a sophomore after a video emerged of him posing with guns and threatening to kill someone. There were other legal challenges surrounding Arnette on top of this, making his release the only viable option for the Raiders. He attempted to revive his career elsewhere, but further arrests in 2022 ultimately put an end to his time in the league. To close out the top 20, we have outside linebacker Chaisson, who was selected by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm pretty sure I pronounced his name wrong, so if you do know how to pronounce it, let me know down in the comment section below. The first 4 years of his career have mustered up only 5 sacks with no PFF grades over 60. As a result, the Jaguars declined his 5th-year option and let him walk for the 2023 season. He has since then signed with the Carolina Panthers, where he will need to show a lot of improvement if he wants to earn another lucrative contract. And now finally, the biggest blunder of this draft possibly, or at least one of them that happened right before Justin Jefferson and the wide receiver taken merely just before him, was at pick 21 with Jalen Reagor being drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. Imagine drafting this guy right before Justin Jefferson and then watching Justin Jefferson go on to do what he has done now, as opposed to what Reagor has gone on and done for the Eagles now. Nothing. Drops and inconsistent play plagued the early stages of Reagor's career, resulting in just 396 yards as a rookie and 299 as a sophomore. The Eagles had seen enough after just 2 years, opting to trade their former first-round pick away for a conditional 4th and 7th rounder. The poor performances have then continued for Reagor, who hasn't surpassed 105 yards in his 2 seasons since. It was a terrible pick for Philadelphia, and it just adds salt to the wound to just see who got drafted 1 pick later and to see how good Justin Jefferson has gone on to become. Safe to say, Justin Jefferson stands clear and above as the most valuable wide receiver in the NFL. He can do it all, and at the age of just 24, he looks on track to become one of the greatest wide receivers the NFL has ever seen. Even in a 2023 season where injuries resulted in him playing in just 10 games, he still managed to record over 1,000 yards receiving. This dude is a true game changer, and his Offensive Player of the Year award in 2022, which featured 1,809 yards, is reflective of how dominant he can be. Aside from the quarterbacks, Jefferson is the clear top pick from the 2020 draft and is surely set on a path to break countless Vikings records thanks to his shiny new contract. And it's safe to say that the future is bright in Minnesota with the knowledge that this offensive superstar is not going anywhere. But I want to know what you guys think. How good do you think Justin Jefferson will be once his career is completely over? For me, if he continues at this rate, he may work himself into the top 5, but right now he's got to be at least top 10 all time. This dude is just legit, and especially after his new contract, he's going to be playing some good ball. But let me know in the comment section below, and if you guys have not, join my Discord to be a part of our 2 giveaways that we are doing right now, and I will catch you guys in the next one.